to order, and we will go ahead and start with the approval of the minutes. So any changes, Councilmember Bergan or Councilmember Medina?
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, then those will stand approved as written. So then we have our consent items. Do we have any questions on our consent items?
None. Me.
All right. Councilmember Bergan?
You're surprised. I don't.
You know, I don't either. Usually I want to have a whole discussion about the water supply, but I think we'll go ahead today and we'll move forward on that. All right, so then we have up next the 16th Amendment to Drainage and Flood Control Improvements to First Creek Detention upstream of I-70. And we'll go ahead and hand that over to James D. Herrera.
Thank you for that. Good morning, Councilmember Mayor. There's another IGA in High District, and so you'll probably all recall or know us. One of my staff members, Sam Scores, was one of our main liaisons with Mile High and has prepared a presentation for you all this morning for this item. And actually, so I'm gonna hand it over to Sam to.
Good morning, everybody. As the, am I able to advance the slide? I am. As the name of the 16th Amendment to the Drainage and Flood Control Improvements for First Creek Detention upstream of I-70 would imply, this is an amendment, one that you've likely seen before if you've served on the Water Policy Committee, to provide regional detention for the basin that exists upstream and downstream to release it historic rates across I-70 in the First Creek Basin. The First Creek Major Drainage Way Plan many years ago identified the need for multiple small detention ponds along the main strand channel. We have been able to combine much of those benefits into one regional detention facility and use less land, and hopefully focus our efforts on this one pond. And we've been paying into a joint account with Mile High Flood District for the last now 17 years to be able to fully fund this. So for this particular amendment, we will be increasing our contribution to $8.4 million in preparation for very soon construction. Mile High Flood District is able to contribute $1.4 million this year. And with these two new contributions, the total project fund will be $29,398,000. A contractor has been brought on at this 60% design point to develop some refined estimated costs. We should be seeing the results of that effort come in August. So we are honing in on the design prospects. We are bringing in the CMGC. We agree that funding should be increased this year. Typically, before last year's amendment to the IGA, both Mile High Flood District and Aurora Water have been contributing $400,000 into this joint account. And this was not sufficient to be able to build when we were ready to do so. So we have increased our shares in the effort of completing this, hopefully, in the coming 2 years. And that's the first one, the drainage and flood control improvements for First Creek. Does anybody on the water policy committee have any questions or support moving this to regular? Yes.
Councilmember Bergan?
Thank you. Just on the contribution of Mile High Flood District, so they're giving 1.4 million on this tranche.
Yeah.
But What, so the total, almost 30 million, 29 million, what has been their contribution?
Most of it to this point has been 400,000 each of us for the last 17 years.
So
Um,
page 22, the last.
Has, oh,
Past previous
oh, it
contributions.
does.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's got total contribution 7.449 from
From Mile High.
Mile High, 21.949 from.
And that's pretty typical, right? Of the,
It varies.
sometimes it's 50-50, but
On the
very
studies,
rare.
on the studies mainly, it's 50-50 just based on those, like the costs of those. When it comes to the overall kind of contributions per county that the district,
Oh,
puts
right.
into different projects, that's generally limited. So it's, so it has been a focus of of some of those overall funds for the last 17 years, but it's for construction projects, it's very typical.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Medina, any questions?
No, just, I know delaying cost a little bit. Is this gonna create any more cost, do you think? The delay? Maybe that's hard, I know it's hard to predict, but
That's a good question. We feel fairly confident that we're pretty much right on the money now. That CNGC contractor will be able to give us ideas if our early estimates allowing for that fuzzy flexibility are correct or not. Our hope and the initial look at it says that we are pretty in line.
thank you.
It is, Councilmember Medina, it's a good point, though. Part of the reason that we are increasing our cost contributions is trying to get it constructed ahead of additional cost increases over time. So it's great.
Actually, no sooner is better than later right now.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
When we started funding 17 years ago, we could have never imagined this, so.
Right.
Yes, construction costs have gotten extreme. But I do not have any additional questions. Councilmember Bergan and Councilmember Medina, are you all good moving this forward to regular council?
Yes.
Yes,
All right, I am as well. So we are good on that. We'll go ahead and move on to the next drainage, which is the 6th amendment to the 22nd Avenue outfall to Westerly Creek Improvement Project.
Thank you very much.
Steve Herrera or maybe Sam again also.
Very similar, so I'll hand it over to Sam, but happy to answer.
Flowing to it. This is the 6th amendment, so again, another IGA that may be familiar to some of you on the committee. For drainage improvements for the section of Westerly Creek that's right next to the Stanley Marketplace. We know that this area is historically underprotected for water quality, so this project will enhance and give a water quality feature for this basin and realign the channel to move properties incoming design, already built design out of the floodway. This year, we are increasing Aurora Water's contribution by $2 million. Past amendments have had contributions from parks as well, so I included that on this sheet to show kind of the previous IGA's culmination, although parks is not participating in this IGA this year. And Mile High Flood District is increasing their funds by $750,000. We are sitting in, they're starting to fill in the previous channel to start the realignment work now. So we are in construction and are fairly confident that the total cost will be good. So we expect at least one more project.
And for the question earlier, which was a great question, you can see how each project kind of varies on the percentages, depending on the regional, local types.
And remember, Coombs, may I?
Yes, please go ahead.
So originally, pretty 50-50. So when we do amendments moving forward, because hopefully there is only one more and not 17 or whatever the other one was. When you go into these additional amendments, Is that when they start to decrease their contribution?
Kind of, like Sarah
Because it
mentioned.
might be a trick.
The
No,
design usually starts as a 50-50 split. And then as the projects go along, and Sam participates in a lot of these detailed meetings, but they'll look at who is receiving what magnitude of benefit. So they try to identify, is it a regional benefit outside of Aurora? And then the percentage split would go up a little bit. If it's more localized to Aurora, you might see Aurora's contribution up. This one has pros in it as well for some benefits. So they look at those details as the project progresses, and then they'll refine the fundings based on the benefits. Is that?
and Adams County would not have to ever contribute.
We've seen
have.
county contributions on some of these, so it just kind of depends on the specifics of the drainage area and who's benefiting. So counties will participate sometimes.
And this project being in Adams County means that now High Flood District funds come from their Adams County pot as well. And so amount of competition too. They have other obligations to other municipalities. So if there's a particularly large amount of projects in Arapahoe County fighting for funds, that may change year to year for country.
Thank you.
Well, and I guess this is pretty close to Denver. Are any of the properties that they're diverting the stream flow to benefit? Because isn't just that other side of the creek Denver then again? So I'm just wondering if any of those properties are Denver properties that are benefiting from that diversion.
It is Denver right on the other side of the red bounded box. But if you can see, the current alignment of the stream leans very heavily to the eastern side. And so Denver also has additional parkland on the western side of the box. So no, there are no Denver properties currently affected by the all removals would be.
But Denver would have had to do the other portion south or whatever north, whatever that is.
We
No.
have been steadily improving kind of in puzzle pieces this section of Westerly Creek, and I believe that they did participate on
Yeah.
that section. It's just the last little bit. Great.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Councilmember Medina, do you have anything?
Nope, not to say, thank you.
All right, does everybody support moving this forward to the regular council meeting?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So next we have the large water users ordinance. Sarah Young.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Councilman Sun
Oh, okay, great.
is a sponsor on this.
Oh, good, great. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, sorry, I've got my back to you guys.
Morning.
It's really awkward. So if you are following along in the packet, it's the guide itself, or the table that we'll be referring is page 161 in the PDF, or in the packet itself, it's page 156. In order to discourage, say, another water bottling facility, as an example, we kind of, a few years ago, we're trying to figure out a way to ensure that we're protecting the system from those large water uses that maybe are not ideal for an arid region. And so what we had included in our in our design criteria manual was this large water user guide. And basically what it does is it restricts, we looked at the data in terms of water use across the city for generally large users. That's how we defined that 3,000 to 3,500 number, to see where the majority of our water users were, to try to understand what a reasonable top of that range is. And develop this table to again, discourage some of those users that would be far outside what we would see from the norm. As you can see, it walks through different kind of numbers in terms of allowable water usage per acre. So that 600 to 1,000 range, very typical numbers. You start getting fewer and fewer customers as you kind of go up the table in terms of existing customers. And
Sarah,
then,
you're not sharing
Oh.
your screen.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? I'm not. Anybody in the meeting that has that up? Otherwise, I can join the meeting quickly and make it happen.
I need to pull it up real quick.
I don't know if I have the ability to share. Oh, I do. So I could share that if you'd like.
I think Casey's pulling it up and
Okay.
a little bit, Sarah mentioned that this goes back a few years. So we've been working on this, Councilman or Mayor Pro Tem now, Sundberg, was on water policy when we started these discussions, and then he was chair of water policy. So we've worked closely with him. He's been supportive as the sponsor on this. The other thing I would add a little bit is we've had a lot of questions historically as users or developers come in on what is okay, what's not okay. So we worked with AEDC also. We've got a good relationship with them going back and forth, and they were excited to have clarity on what's okay, what's a gray area, or in the case of the table, a yellow area, what's green. So we've also worked closely with them and been communicating with developments and developers as they've been coming in over the last couple of years, as this has been in our design standards. So now what we're looking at doing is putting it in code. We think it's well refined, and I'll be quiet now. We have that up.
No, yeah, no, I mean, keep going. Yeah. Also, yeah, it's all good with me. Yeah, and it has been a great tool because as we have talked to AEDC, they've started to really understand this. And that's the first thing that they do is reach out to say, here are the demands. Do they fit within the table? And it's been interesting. What it's led to are a couple of customers who are interested in coming into the city who refined what it is that they were planning. So as an example, a data center switched to a different type of cooling that would allow for them to be within the matrix. It has discouraged several other folks. What I will mention, so now that the table is up, so you can kind of see on the left side, the water use on a per acre, per day. And then the exemptions. The other thing that we wanted to make sure that we were considering is the total consumptive use. So if the water goes back into the system and they have the ability to recapture it, that's a different benefit than if somebody is using that water and say exporting it outside of the system. So that was also considered. And it's important in the exemption space. There are a couple of specific industries that do fall into that exemption category, one being car washes. But we have a different means of regulating their return. So we require that they are also per criteria that they are a fit 75% of the recycled water. So, and that is based on research that we did in the industry to make sure that it was whatever the kind of highest return rate that was feasible was. So, so yeah, we are hoping to just strengthen this. It has worked very well already. So that's the reason, as Marshall had mentioned, for wanting to put it in code.
Questions? Just
Yes, go ahead.
potable versus non-potable water, is that considered in?
The car wash example, Sarah mentioned, the car washes will do the recycling on sites. So the original delivery is of potable.
Potable, okay.
We don't really have there are very limited opportunities to have non-potable origin of water sources. So almost everybody is starting on potable.
Okay.
And then there are some systems, cooling towers. If it's a smaller cooling tower, can do some recycling and make it a little more efficient where it might fit in. The data center example, some of what they're doing is shifting over to non-evaporative cooling, or We've seen dry cooling where it doesn't use water, but doesn't use Freon. And then we've seen some closed loop like Freon-based systems as well. So it's really been driving a lot of efficiency from a water.
So like our golf courses use non-potable. So data centers could not be in that same kind of
Yeah, so
system.
our golf courses, we have a limited number of golf courses that are on our Sand Creek system. The system has capacity limitations. So we have looked at, there are some limited opportunities for people who are close to that system to maybe be able to connect. But generally speaking, it's been essentially fully utilized. Now, we did have some golf courses closed recently or fairly recently, and that's where there is a little bit of additional capacity there. We've talked to, for example, Buckley about might there be opportunities to hook them up to that system?
Oil and gas is another one.
Oil and gas, we have shifted, yeah, and that's a great reminder. We have just shifted some oil and gas use over to that system. So we're trying to maximize it, but we don't have plans necessarily to expand. All of our plans are to take our water supplies and shift them back into the potable system.
One of the other challenges with that reuse system, or not challenges, but just the way that the system is set up, our potable water system is pressurized. The reuse system for the irrigation, and this was part of the conversation with Buckley, it goes into a pond and then they pump it into their irrigation system versus a system that already comes with a certain pressure that they can rely on. So it would require that kind of repressurizing of the water, which is one of the other components. And like Marshall said, there's not a lot of extra.
And then what percentage of our large water users, like, do the majority fall into the green there?
To green and then some into yellow. That's right.
Yeah, another recent example was the Philip Morris facility that came in. They started in the red.
Oh.
Initially. And we worked back and forth with them on a number of things
That wasn't told to us.
No, because we did all that work ahead of time. So before it got to council, they had shifted to become much more efficient so that they got out of the red. So we didn't have to make.
So are they in the yellow or the green?
Yellow.
Yellow. So is there ever going to be a situation where they move back to orange or yellow or red with increased production?
No, so we looked, well, so with these users, when they come in, the other part that works well with our ordinance and what council has approved in the past is we set allocations. So they have an allocation that is limiting them to, or requiring they stay within the yellow. Now, theoretically, could they use more than that? We don't have a mechanism to shut them off. But what it does to their rate is their water rate would double or triple. And we would reach out to them and say, you're not allowed to exceed your allocation.
I guess I'm just trying to avoid a Niagara situation again.
That's something we're putting a lot of thought into. Should we create something in the future where there is literally if you hit that or you hit some 10% above your allocation or something, we would have something more than just the financial implication, but we haven't figured that out yet.
So if there was an expansion and they end up going to the red, what would we do? We would say,
yeah, so what we do.
We just don't want to just charge them more money. We want to not.
No, we couldn't allow it. So what we do, like, again, the Philip Morris example is we've seen all their future expansions.
Oh, okay.
So we have them bring those to the table. We sorted through those water uses. And so they got into the yellow with all the future expansion plans. Now, part of our opportunity and challenge is making sure that we keep them consistent with what they committed to do. And that's where we have the financial piece on the back end, but we've had discussions at least on, is that enough to provide the certainty we need to keep them out of the red? So there's a chance, and if you all have ideas, we're open to any ideas on what we might want to think about there, but there is a little bit of a risk there.
But the expansion point is a really good point, and that's from the Niagara. That was the experience, right? Where all of those users that come in, like, okay, we understand this is your first phase. What are you looking at?
And I mean, I think it's fair to whatever company as well, right? So that they know here's, but if you plan expansion, then here are the rules, or, so that it's predictable, I guess, for them as well.
On both ends. So we try to be extremely transparent right up front. And let them know these are the criteria. It applies to any phase of expansion. It applies to your facility forever. So that's part of why we're proposing to actually codify this now, to make it even more transparent. This is out there. It's a requirement. So
It's pretty unique in the industry.
Is it?
I haven't heard of anybody else some similarities, but for others who we're talking about are sharing water conservation measures and in permitting processes and such, right? It's I think it won't be the first, or won't be the only. I think it'll catch on for sure. Yeah.
Great. Councilmember Medina, do you have any questions?
At this time, thanks.
Okay, and Councilmember Sundberg, is there anything you would like to add?
Good morning. It seems pretty straightforward and needed. Of course, Aurora has this unique smart growth opportunity, and this provides guidance. Good questions, I think, about future expansions that are brought up. And this is Aurora Water demonstrating leadership and innovation in developing something like this that I think can help be a model for other municipalities. But yeah, again, this will help lead to smart, sustainable growth within our city.
Absolutely. And thank you for sponsoring. Thank you for joining us today. So I think that our next question is just, do we support moving this forward, or yes, because it's an ordinance. It's not just you all continuing to use the standard. So Councilmember Bergan, Councilmember Medina, do we support moving this forward to study session?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, I do as well. So that will go ahead and move forward. Thank you again, Councilmember Sundberg. Nice to see you on Water Policy Committee. Yep, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, which I believe is Dominion. Yes, Dominion Water and Sanitation. So Alex, I believe, I don't have the full agenda in front of me, but.
Yes, I will join the meeting. Sorry, I hadn't done that before. I will apologize for perhaps the roughness of my presentation, because I wasn't planning on doing much of a presentation until last night. and then I was realized that I should do something a little bit more. So here it is. Let's see. Now. Let's into slideshow mode. In the beginning. Not do that appropriately. Hang on. Oh, when everything updates, it always screws everything up. When your system is like,
Yes, it's horrible.
it is, suddenly it doesn't work quite the way it used to work. So first, I'd also like to introduce Britta Struthers, who is here from Dominion. We don't usually get guests at Water Policy Committee, so thank you for being here, Britta. And it was I'll just tell council members, you have been part of this process for some time, and we appreciate all the support and help. I think it was a good conversation. Dominion came to us a year and a year ago, with a couple of needs. We have 3 agreements with Dominion. Oh, it did not, maybe, let's see. I thought I got rid of all these WISE slides, so this is what I get for doing things slowly, thinking it's the last minute. We have had 3 agreements with Dominion, as you know, the 230 agreement, the 570 agreement, and the 250 agreement. And those agreements have been modified over time, but they needed some more modifications. So I felt like it was a good process. The parties were really transparent and worked together to find some good paths going forward. And those paths are, let's see, this is the old one. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop sharing that because that is the old presentation that I thought I just updated. So I apologize. That is not the one I wanted to present. This is to present.
Can I ask a question just while getting
Yes,
that up?
please.
So the agreements we're going to see for the 230, the 250, and the 570 are what we discussed last year, and then you guys went back after recommendations from the Water Policy Committee, and then so that's what's being brought forward.
Yes, so what's being brought forward is a consolidation where we've taken the remnants, obligations, and negotiations on those 3 and consolidated them into one new agreement. And so that's what. Yeah. Right.
This is like, I'm just out there. Okay, this should work. Should be the right one. Yay, that's it. Okay, let's get back here. Do the slideshow again. Thing. Okay, sorry. Technical difficulties. I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Rory, you need to mute.
Oh, I thought that was a question.
So sorry.
So the original agreements, 230, 570, 250, were all in place. So the 2 and have now been transformed, as Marshall just said, into one agreement that combines all of those 3 agreements. The 230, we agreed to extend delivery of the 230 until at Rampart, at our Rampart line until 2031. It was supposed to expire in 2027, after which it will be delivered through WISE and not through Rampart, and using the WISE rates for the delivery. The 2050 agreement, we're shifting all of the deliveries to WISE. Council members may remember that the original agreements were very concerned about the use of Aurora's infrastructure for the delivery of this water and had deadlines to move this water over to a different infrastructure. And that's what this combined agreement does. The 570 agreement, council will remember, was always intended to be a temporary agreement to bridge the time from, I think 2018 was when it started, to today when WISE is finally up and running, and so that Dominion could start developing Sterling Ranch before WISE was put into place. Dominion always intended, and one part of their agreement was to be one of the main WISE contributors, and they are. They're one of the main WISE supporters, and they have, what, 1,385 acre feet from WISE?
The largest subscriber of WISE.
The largest subscriber. So that's great. The 570 water, one of the concerns that Dominion had was if WISE should be interrupted in the next couple of years, could they still have access to this temporary 570 water? And we agreed that they could. So if WISE is interrupted, their 570 water will still be available to Dominion during the next 2 years until 2028. The WISE connection is to be completed by May 2025, and I think that is done and completed, so that's exciting. We talked in this process, we talked about Aurora so Dominion is planning on buying on building a structure in the South Platte downstream of Strontia, close to where right now, using the Rampart line, they take through Roxborough system. And so having a structure, and this is where Britta will know more than I, downstream of Strontia, but upstream of Chatfield would be helpful for their system to take water in. They're working on creating that structure. They kindly offered to have a deal where Aurora might access that structure as well. And so that's kind of out there. We didn't agree to anything on that. We discussed, so there's two different losses in this agreement. One of them is system losses. And the system losses are water losses that are incurred by Dominion's movement of the water through the WISE system. We agreed to lease them water to cover those losses and agreed that if Dominion decides that they want to lease that water, they can, they'll give us 180 days notice. We will then negotiate what that lease would look like. If we have the water in our system, we will lease it to them. The other question was transit losses, which are different. Transit losses are from the point of delivery to the point of delivery from Aurora to the point at which Dominion picks them up. And Dominion asked if we would cover those transit losses, and we felt that we couldn't do that. So we said no on that piece.
On that, there are other transit losses above the point of delivery at Strontia.
Yeah.
And Aurora is covering those transit losses as part of our agreement to deliver Dominion's water to them. So above Strontia, we're covering the losses. Below Strontia, we ask Dominion to cover the losses.
Thank you, because we do have evaporation, stream losses, and all of those in the system before we discharge water from Strontia. Aurora asked that Dominion agree to reduce deliveries if we have a drought declaration. So if the city is putting surcharges on water deliveries and reducing demand because of extreme drought, and Dominion agreed to choose, they get to choose either to pay a surcharge on the last 20% of their water or to reduce the deliveries by 20%. And Aurora also agreed to provide construction water if it's available and if Dominion needs it through Rampart at construction prices. And that's it. I don't even have a question slide, sorry. This was a very last minute presentation. But it's pretty straightforward. While it took a long time to put together, I think we ended up in a really good place. I recall the email from Andrea saying this is great when she read the final agreement and sent it with her signature. So I think we're all pleased that it ended where it did. Would you add anything?
A little bit that Dominion is interested in getting it approved as soon as we can. So we have dual listed it for the 14th of July, which is the next council meeting. So it would go to study and regular on the same night to get through so we can get things settled and everything can move forward.
Question.
All
So
right, yes, Councilmember Bergan.
thank you. So the construction is complete, the South Platte diversion.
No.
It's not.
Oh.
Still working, the construction of the WISE infrastructure to
The pipeline?
reach.
Yes.
Yes, complete, that they were waiting on permitting and whatever.
Some other, yes.
Easements, I think they had to get some easements. So that's the part's done.
That
So what
part's-
about the other? When is that due?
So the.
Oh, it says earlier, October 31st, 2031, or when it's
Yeah,
the
so
earlier of each. Okay.
our obligation in the agreement is to continue delivering water. The 250 through the WISE system, the 230 through the Rampart system.
Okay.
Until the earlier of either that 2031 date or the completion of the diversion infrastructure, which they're working on.
Working on, okay.
All right.
And then just one more,
Oh,
oh,
yes,
one-
go ahead.
sorry. So in the event of a major drought, we can limit the amount of water because obviously our residents, we want to have priority for our residents, right?
We do. So that was a big point of discussion during the negotiations. And we will either, but this ended up at the discretion of Dominion. So we're treating them the same as we're treating all of our other customers, which is we're saying either trim back your use or pay a surcharge.
Right, but that makes me nervous because if you pay the surcharge, then what is the effect on our current customers that are affected by, I'm talking like a severe drought?
Yeah, and again, that was, Aurora preferred to have the reduction. Dominion has a slightly different demographic in their system. So their customers actually use less water than our customers. So they've included some additional technologies. It's a newer development.
Okay.
So one of the great things they've done out there is included a lot of water conservation in the growth or development from day one. So their usage numbers are significantly lower than our average. We have some customers that are just as efficient, but not all of our customers. So for them to reduce, the sensitivity was, hey, we've already trimmed way back. We may not be able to do the same level of reductions that customers in Aurora could because of the efficiencies that were already there. There's much less outdoor irrigation, for example. So because of that, they were concerned, and we felt that that was reasonable. So we implemented a either reduce, and they know that's our preference still. But if they're not able to reduce, they would then pay the surcharge. So we may end up in a scenario where they can reduce some level, but still need to pay a surcharge on some other amount.
So if the drought, if we ended up in that, whatever that red zone of drought, like the chart we had a long time ago, where no watering,
Yeah, no
At all.
outdoor irrigation.
so they would have to follow the same standard,
Follow that same standard. If we
Okay.
say no outdoor irrigation,
right?
that's our expectation for them as well, and no outdoor irrigation.
Okay. Great, thank you.
And part of the difference, if I might, is the 230 and the 250 water is water that is Dominion's water, but their huge benefit is using our system to
Right.
capture that water and deliver the water. And that's it. So that's part of the balance there as well.
Okay. Well, I'm happy we've ended up here.
Again, a lot of great discussions back and forth, and I think we've landed in a good place to be sensitive to all the key issues.
Great. Is there anything, Britta, that you would like to add to the conversation?
I would just like to thank Aurora's staff for this process. I think it went very, very smoothly for what was a very challenging discussion and negotiation.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you for joining us today. Councilmember Medina, do you have any additional questions or comments?
Not this time, thank you.
Okay, so I think the question before us is, do we support moving this forward for dual listing on July 14th?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then that's what we're gonna do. Thank you so much, everyone, for your hard work on this. I know it's been a very long and ongoing process. So next we have the Spry Point Alerts presentation.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I am joined here today by Jared Montoya, who is our customer service supervisor. So he's going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing with Spry, but I wanted to kick it off by kind of going back in time a little bit. Y'all may or may not remember that a long time ago in a land far, far away, which actually wasn't that far away, it was here, we had physical read meters where we sent people out and they had to physically read them. And then there was technology that were changed and we were able to move to AMR, which was the drive-by reading, which made it more efficient. We didn't have to have as many staff, which was excellent. And then as those meters started to age out, we realized we really probably need to consider some other options than what was new in technology. And that is when we recommended that we move forward with AMI. And that is automatic meter infrastructure. Sorry. Automated meter infrastructure. I get that right? I don't know why. AMI, I just say it all the time. There we go. Sorry, my bad. Okay. Anyway, moving right along. So in 2019, we did proof of concept that was proof that the meters were going to work and we were able to change them out. And so over the course of time, all the way through the end of this year, and we just finished doing the final installs at the beginning of this year, and we've had to do some lid replacements. We have been able to get all of our meters changed out to the AMI meters, which is excellent. And so we did 86,000 AMI meter exchanges, and then we also had 11,000 roughly new builds that were installed. So we're looking at roughly 97,000, close to 500 new AMI meters that have been installed since 2019. And of course, the benefits to AMI, we're just starting to really experience some of the benefits of AMI right now. Probably the biggest one is that we don't have to send as much staff out to even do the drive-bys, right? So we are much more efficient operationally when it comes to that. And one of the other features that I think has proven to be so valuable is that we are able to get data, a lot of data to be able to tell us how consumption looks for individual customers, all the way down to the 15-minute intervals. And so we have access to that. And of course, other people are able to access that 15-minute interval data through Ion Water, which is a web app. But all along, there was this vision that we wanted to be able to create a one-stop shop. And so I'm going to have Jared talk about that.
All right. So let's talk about continuous flow and how it affected what we did in 2024. In the billing call center, we adjusted $191,000 towards customers' bills on nearly 900 different accounts. We reported 23,000 gallons of water that were lost. Now, these statistics are only from customers that called in, reported a leak, and actually fixed the leak. Okay, so the actual number of gallons that were lost due to leaks that might have been unreported, far exceed that number. As far as the conservation team, they went out on 279 service orders to inspect continuous flow issues at different customer locations. So they played a big part in helping to identify leaks and make the customers aware so they could get that repaired. Did they really?
Yes.
Okay, you had a leak?
We did.
Okay, so you know firsthand, how much it cost, for the water, maybe how much a repair bill might cost as well. So it's a real inconvenience when there's a leak. Okay, next slide.
You gotta believe me when I say I'm trying. There we go.
All right, so let's talk about these continuous flow alerts. What these alerts are is they notify a customer after there's been 24 hours of continuous water usage. Okay, the 24 hours is key because most people stop using water at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. If there's no water usage at that time, you don't have a continuous flow. You don't have something that's continuously running, such as a toilet, right? That may run, 3 or 4 times an hour. Every couple of gallons starts to add up quickly if you've ever had a running toilet. When you get a continuous flow alert, there's a couple of different ways that you can be notified. And the most common way is in the customer portal. Okay, and the customer portal is
Sorry.
where we're actually going to set up these different alerts. In the customer portal, once you surpass your threshold, you're gonna have a red banner right on the top of your screen that will show here in a little bit. That's gonna notify you, you have exceeded the threshold. Either something's wrong or, you know, you may have used a lot of water, depending on the alert that you've set up. With the transition to AMI, we're able to quickly identify leaks and anomalies. So that's, you know, one benefit of AMI. The continuous flow alert is a perfect solution for somebody to set up for anybody that wants to prevent wasting water as well as wasting money. So, you know, when we look at the big picture, really, that's all of us, right? All right. Go to stay on this slide here. Let's talk about the second alert. The second alert is called a consumption alert. Now, this is an alert set up by the customer that can be set up by a predetermined number of gallons daily, weekly, monthly, or even in the billing period. So let's say I wanted to set up a threshold for 300 gallons a day. I want to make sure my family, my household is staying within that number. You can set that up for each day. And if you go over that, you're going to receive a notification. Okay, so these notifications can be sent out through email, through text messages, and then once again, the customer portal. These consumption alerts are perfect for somebody trying to maintain a tight monthly budget or for families that are on fixed incomes, right? So this is a good tool to use to make sure that you're staying within your means financially. All right, so let's just take a look at the customer portal. For many of you, this is you know, a reintroduction. So this is in our Spry Engage system. The customer portal is a one-stop shop for our customers to be able to go in and look at the balance on their account. They can pay their bills. They can set up for paperless billing, which is my favorite part of the portal because everybody that signs up for paperless billing, you know, saves the city money from having to send out a paper bill.
Don't get the newsletter.
We're working on that.
We're working on
We're working on that.
Okay.
We always do. A
Right.
priority.
Also in the portal, the customers can set up for auto pay and they're able to look at their consumption. Okay, so their yearly, their monthly, their weekly, their daily consumption. In the portal, the interval data comes in 60-minute intervals, whereas on Ion Water, it's available in 15-minute intervals. Okay, so this is really tailored to residential customers that may not need that 15-minute data that's so granular, but they're able to look at the big picture each day to say, hey, you know, why on Tuesday did it spike, right? You know, the best part about these alerts is they're able to be changed, customized, deleted, unsubscribed to. And that's important because as we go into watering season, right, you're going to change your consumption amount. You know, once you figure out, hey, I've got, you know, I fixed my toilet, I no longer need to track it at maybe 1 or 2 gallons per hour because I don't want to get bombarded with notifications. You know, I could change that alert to 5 gallons per hour. So they're very customizable. All the customer has to do is log into the portal. So let's talk about how we sign up for the alerts. So this screenshot here is a continuous flow alert. The customer's going to click, you know, subscribe From there, they're gonna set the alert threshold. So this is the continuous flow. This is the alert you're gonna set up to maybe see if you have a toilet that's continuously running. So if you're trying to do that, we recommend you set the threshold at 1 or 2 gallons an hour, right? If your toilet's running a couple times an hour, this threshold is gonna catch that. You're gonna be notified tomorrow that you've got a runny toilet, okay? The sooner you catch it, the better. Running toilets, if they're not fixed rather quickly, it starts to add up, gallons and dollars, right? Unfortunately, a lot of our customers don't call us until it affects their pocketbook. They see it on their bill and they got a $700-800 bill because of a runny toilet that, you know, maybe to the common person, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it adds up quickly. Okay, so for that, like I said, you would set it at 1 or 2 gallons an hour. Next, you set your alert method. How do I want to be notified? Text message, email, or on the customer portal with the red banner, okay? And then lastly, before you hit subscribe to finalize the alert, you're gonna set up the frequency. How often do you want to be notified? Do I want to be notified every day? Do I want to be notified every other day? Maybe once a week? You know, this is helpful to say, all right, I've got a running toilet. I know it's running. I'm tired of getting alerts. I am gonna fix it, but I don't want to forget. Let me set it up for every 3rd day, right? Maybe by the weekend I'll get it fixed, but I don't want to forget, right? So you could customize how often you are going to get those different alerts. All right, so let's talk about some of the project facts. This project was initially planned to go live in October of 2024. But what we decided to do was get a nice handful of Know Your Flow customers involved. We wanted them to pilot the program for a few months, and we wanted to get their feedback. So they piloted the program, testing the alerts, both continuous flow and consumption. They were able to provide us feedbacks, ideas, suggestions that we were able to go back to the table with and implement into the program. And eventually, these alerts went live on April 1st to all the citizens of Aurora. As far as my team goes, the billing and customer service team, we have been available to answer questions, to help customers set up these alerts if they needed assistance. Luckily, we've only had about 50 interactions since April 1st of customers that actually needed assistance setting these alerts up. So, you know, that speaks to the great job that the water team did in making this as simple as possible to use. Also, you know, some other project facts is when we started, but before we started the alerts, we had about 51,000 customers that had an Engage account, a customer portal. That has increased by 2,200 accounts. We're now up to 53,000 accounts. The way that we advertise these leaks, the leak alerts and the consumption alerts was through News Aurora. Okay, at the start of April, through News Aurora, we emailed every single customer that had an email in Spry CIS, and we also sent a billing message in the April bill. So we sent a message in the April bill as well. And ongoing efforts as we continue to market in News Aurora. So I think it's important that we continue to get the message out. You know, the more we get the message out, the more customers we get signed up, the more conservation we have.
It's also been on social media.
And social media, there you go. Let's talk about a few benefits. These alerts are to enhance, you know, the customer experience. You know, it's to help effectively monitor and control their water consumption. When a customer signs up in the customer portal, they are actually moving towards self-help options, where they're able to resolve issues, right? A lot of people work outside of our call center hours of 7:30 to 5. They come home from work at 8 o'clock at night. They're able to open up their computer and say, hey, let me pay my bill. Let me set up auto pay. I was looking to download some of these forms that I needed to send, maybe to Aurora Water. And while I'm here, let me set up a leak alert, a consumption alert. So it's an enhancement to our portal that makes it convenient for customers. And then like we spoke about earlier, as more customers get into the portal, hopefully they'll sign up for paperless billing. And, that'll be a cost savings towards the city as well. But in the end, the biggest benefit is increased water conservation. That's our focus. I think as this awareness, continues to grow, we're going to continue to see the amount of water that we're losing through leaks decline. Do we have any questions about any of those alerts?
Councilmember Medina?
No, I think it's a great opportunity. I'll use it to promote in my town halls too. So thank you.
Right. Good to hear.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilmember Bergan?
I don't know if we have this, but my husband bugged me the other day because I was watering plants. And he goes, what? And he came out all yelling at me because he said I was using too much water. And he goes, well, why do we have a drip system if you're going to go hand water? And I was like, hello, smart person. Do have some plants in pots and they're not on the drip system. But I'm wondering, I don't even know if he signed up for this, or is it, because he did the smart meter with you guys. That wouldn't tell him all that, would it?
A while ago, the one that you put on the fridge, or which?
No, I don't know. It's in our garage, but he signed up, he got a different
Yeah,
sprinkler.
the controller.
Would that tell him?
No.
So he maybe did sign up then.
He might be on Ion
Yeah, either Ion Water or he signed up in the Engage portal.
because that's
But
15 minutes.
the Engage wouldn't tell him because that's gonna wait 24 hours.
No, he came out, he's like, in 15 minutes, it was like up here. And
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
and water.
That's.
well, that's my question. Am I gonna get my shower shut off if he signs up for X gallons?
He may, otherwise you can negotiate, a little higher.
Shake my hair.
It is.
Only if he goes outside and shuts the valve off.
Right.
I had not considered the marital issue. So thank you.
But anyway, no, but on a serious note, thank you for all your work. This is really good. And like you said, the goal is to decrease our consumption and hopefully not surprise people with a huge water bill that we have had before, and it's not fun.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you all. And I just wanted to let you know as well, our HOA has reached out to everyone as well in our community to make sure folks are paying attention for leaks and have noted, increased water usage that they've been alerted to. So I think a lot of folks are utilizing this to try to make sure that their water consumption is as conservative as possible. All right, anything else?
So.
Uh-oh. Okay, I was like, can I just not hear y'all right now? Okay.
Yeah. I don't think, we have the water tour coming up.
Yes.
That's in August on the 27th and 28th, I believe. Other than that, we didn't have any other business today.
All right, any council members have any miscellaneous matters?
Then
All right.
Question
then
on the
our
water
next-
tour.
Oh,
Question.
yes, Councilmember Bergan.
So I did refer a few people,
Uh-huh.
and I guess, is that like first come, first serve type of thing?
Yeah, so we're gonna have a limited number of spaces, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna get all of the applications in and then just make sure that they're
Yeah,
appropriate.
so we'll vet the applications and we can bring back here, for example, next week and say, hey, we've seen this number of applications. Most years we only get 10 or 15 at the most applications. And so part of the questions are, were you referred? Who referred you? What's your interest? Where do you live? So residents get top priority. We do get applications from outside the city some years. But I don't know. We haven't
Well-
seen too many.
Because I referred Kelly Bruff, who's the CEO now of the Fitzsimmons Innovation Campus.
Okay.
So I think she put in her application, but
And it is available. I know that there might have been an issue with the link at one point, but I think
The
that
link
got
is up.
fixed.
okay.
And it is now, and it's also available on our website too. And when you go, if you go to just aurorawater.org, it's right on the very front, but
And we put Kelly on the list of.
yeah, and it's on the
priority
list.
application, so.
All right. Well, looking forward to that and appreciate all the work that you all put into the water tour. So yes, our next meeting, I believe is
My
July,
16th.
what was that?
16th, July 16th.
16th. All right. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about that date?
It's the
All right.
same day as my town hall, which water will be presenting.
Oh, yes. So we'll start together in the morning
And
and then
end.
together. It's true.
All right. Well, so seeing no concerns about that meeting date, we'll go ahead and keep that and we'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you again, everybody, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.